And we are live. Hello, all you Americans. Mr. Chad's in the house. Muskrat, Squirrel, Mike Irvin. Who else we got in here? JP3, Mike Irvin, Muskrat. There's Mark in the house. What's going on, Mark? Who else we got in here? A lot of y'all guys are just talking away. Mr. James Dockery. How you doing, James? Mike's outdoors. Who else we got in here? Guys, I appreciate y'all coming in here tonight. I didn't know if y'all would be glued to the TV or not. Kevin Baker, New School. Who else? Carolina Catfish. Creole, what's going on, my friend? Mike's outdoors. I done said that. I hope everybody's doing great, buddy. Yeah, Patriots in Facebook jail has probably been a good thing. There's two old vets. Troy, catfish regulators. That's a new one. Guys, check them out and enjoy them. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, derive their power from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter and to abolish it. Guys and gals, give me 5 minutes. We've had some crap go on in this country, started in 2020, and it's still going on today. We cannot sit down. We cannot shut up. There was a bunch of junk went on today in Washington. Some good and some bad. We had some stuff that went on that probably should not have gone that far, but it did. Keep your family safe, guys. We don't know what this year is going to hold. I hope it turns out better than what 2020 was, but we don't know. But that being said, God bless you. God bless your families. Take care of yourself, and God bless America. Let's get on a roll about some catfishing. All right, I'm getting ready to start out with some videos coming up. And I'll start out tonight as Catfishing 101. I guess tonight I'll start part of that video stuff that I'm working on. Is that we got a lot of new people coming into the catfish scene. Some experienced, been catfishing all their lives probably. Some are just getting into it, maybe never even had a fishing pole in their hand. Some of them fished a couple times a year, once or twice a year with family, friends, or whatever. So, like I talked last week, was that we make sure that we give out the right information that they need. So that's where I'm going to ask y'all in chat that if I miss something or missay something, to correct me or add to what I'm saying. So the people in chat can read what they're saying. Depth ranges. Okay. We'll hit on that in a minute. Ryan, if you don't mind, bring it back up in a second. So we're going to start out tonight with channel cats. Most of us probably started out chasing brim and maybe some crappie, fishing off the bank, and then caught catfish. But most of us probably started out catching the channel cat. Lyle and them's got a big thing going to be happening this year, going to chase some nice channels and probably some of the best channel catfishing in the world. Love to be able to go. Not going to be able to make it there, but would love to be there. So guys, take plenty of pictures and videos so we can go along with you. And do some lives if you got a good enough signal. I would appreciate it. But the channel cat can be a fun fish to catch. Light tackle. It is a blast. It is a fighting fish. That fish fights you all the way to the boat. He'll fight you in the boat. He'll fight you letting him go out of the boat. I love the channel cat. They can be, you can catch them pretty easy. If you're looking for size on them, then it gets a little bit tougher, but you can still catch them. Good table fare. There a lot of them. Most of the time, in most lakes, there's a fair number of channels that don't feel bad about taking you a good mess home. I have found, what's up, DMV? I have found that some of my old channel cat holes in the day on Lake Wiley now seems to be good holes that I catch flatheads. So they do like structure. They do love shallow water. When you go up in shallow waters, you can actually catch you a good mess of channel cats. Whether fishing on the bottom, under a float, or whatever, the channel cat is there. They will take different baits. They will take old stinky bait, worms, chicken livers, chicken breast, whatever you want to fish with, you can catch channel cats with. I love fishing for bigger channels with a little small live brim. Now, sometimes they will have a tendency to kill those brim and not take them. I don't know why. It's just like they're PO'd at a brim. They will mash them flat. I've had brim come in and the scales knocked off of them and mashed flat. But brim is a good bait. The brim heads, them little small brim heads, you can wear out some good channels on those. And when you're up in shallow water, guys, throw them brim heads out there without no sinkers on them. Let them free line around out there. It is a blast. Use light tackle. The channel cats can be, channel cats have attitudes. They do. I call them catitudes. But they're fun. And they're fun to take kids out there because you can get into a good mess of channels and just have a blast. And I know if you're a tournament fisherman, the channel cat is probably the last thing that you want to catch. But with that being said, they love shrimp too, especially in the summer. We let the shrimp sit out there and get good and stinky to throw it out there. And they love old blood baits and cheese baits and all kind of different baits. But they're fun. You take your kids out there, get set up with some chicken livers, worms, or whatever. Once you find them, they are fun. And they will keep the children very active at catching fish and not get bored. That is the name of the game of taking kids fishing, is not to let them get bored. Channels are the most widespread of cat and easy for most fish. You're exactly right, Twisted. You're exactly right. That's what I'm saying. It's a good starter fish to get children into it or new beginners to really practice getting your look close to the bullhead, an amazing fish. Yes. It's a good fish to hone your skills to catch bigger fish. Using light tackle, light line teaches you about line stretch. It teaches you about using the drag on your reels. It'll teach you a lot of things if you really pay attention to it. What are we? All blues, 5 jello chicken, 3 on gizzards. Yeah, he will have a video. Yeah, you're right. But new school, that's what most of us cut our teeth on is channels. And most of us have done got our hands tore up by the little bitty spines on them little baby channels. Dieter Melhorn, he had it on video, but they'll get you. But they are fun using light tackle. If you really use it in the right way as a beginner, it is a great fish for learning to deal with bigger fish, learning to drag on your system, how to use it properly, how to let that rod load up. It can be a great learning tool. Channel cats are good off ledges. I mean, not off ledges, out off of brain fart points. We used to catch a lot of good fish off of some points. I got a point down on Lake Wiley that is right there at the South Fork. We used to wear the channel cats out. You could still catch numbers of channels on that point. There's some structure on that point, and it ain't. And the river channel runs pretty close right there and runs into the main lake channel. Great place. Shallows in the back of creeks, around bridge embutments and stuff where you catch flatheads is also a good place for channels. Guys, if you know some other good places for channels, please throw it up into chat if you don't mind. 35-pound plus channel in North Dakota. That's what I'm talking about. My biggest is 16 pounds, caught on a little black flicktail, and that come out of Lake Wiley many years, probably over 30 years ago. I don't think we'll ever see that size channels in that lake again. I might get surprised, but I just don't think so. Since the blues and the flatheads got introduced into that lake, the channels is just about, they stay small from what we can see. And I'm sure there's a fair amount of them get eat. Now, move on to the blue. The blue, road hiss. I got to go with you, David. I want to go up there, take some light tackle, and just have a blast with them. Mid-20s is your PB. Everybody post up your PB channels if you don't mind. We got a lot of new people in here. 9 pounds at the local pond. And don't forget, guys, there's a lot of old farmers throw some channel cats in their ponds, and you will get surprised at the size of channels those channels will grow in a farm pond. They're eating brim and all natural stuff. They will get some size to them. It is amazing. I've got a pond that I stopped many years ago, a buddy of mine, and I haven't fished it probably 15, 20 years. And we know of a channel in there that everybody that hooks into it gets broke off. 19 pounds, 23 pounds, 3 pounds, 14 pounds, 13, 22, 12s. Guys, them are some good numbers. A 10-pound channel his daughter caught. Oh, I bet she was tickled. I know you was tickled watching her. About 10 pounds. Guys, that's just good. That's good fighting fish. I don't care in whose book. Don't ever think that a 10-pound channel cat ain't a good fish. That's a good fish, a good fighting fish. 16 pound. And I've been seeing a few bigger channels caught. Junior Potter's been catching some good channels down around. I don't know which lakes he was catching them the other day. There was some good channels, 8, 9, 10-pound channels. That's good channel cats. Like I said, they're fun to get the kids into, new beginners, cut your teeth into them. Help these guys out. They ask them about that, and you see what kind of tackle they're coming out. And, guys, you can catch in with Zebco 33s and a little old fiberglass cheap Walmart rod. You can. And have a blast. And it's fun. So don't forget to have fun, guys. You know, sometimes it's time to just lay the big gear down and go out and just have fun. Catch numbers. That's, just like Mark's tournament. Chad's tournament, that couples tournament. It was on numbers. You like catching big fish, but when you're out with your buddies and you're sitting by a campfire on the bank, well, really, you don't care if you catch one or not, but you hope you do. But the night that they come running in there and you start putting numbers on the bank, those are great memories. That's cool. I've seen my daughter cry many a time because old channel cat break her off, and I didn't have real good line on her rod and reel, and that was my fault as a daddy. I should have made sure she had the right equipment to catch, but we wasn't expected to get into bigger channels then. But we did, and it broke her off, and she cried and was mad at me and wouldn't speak to me for a week after that. But it's a good fish, And don't forget to have fun. I mean, I've sat and watched people sit on the banks with cane poles catching big channels and having a blast. That's something I never got to do with cane poles. We caught brim with cane poles in ponds and stuff, but I never actually tried to catch them on the lake. That would be a blast. It would just be a blast. Cane pole catfishing. Sound like an idea somebody needs to take up. Hint, hint, hint. Okay. Then we move on to the blues. The blues will take a variety of baits too. And we're seeing now that people are catching them on chicken. Strawberry chicken, whatever flavored chicken, no flavor. Garlic chicken, Mac up in Lake Norman has been catching catfish on chicken for years. So chicken is nothing new, guys. It's almost become a clickbait on YouTube, but it's nothing new. Mac Byron's been catching catfish on chicken for years, on plain and garlic chicken. The hint with garlic chicken is don't soak it all night. Put garlic on it right before you head to the lake, or you will make it too strong. That was his hint to us when me and Dieter went out with him that day. You're very welcome, Ohio. But Skins and Scale, we got all kind of great people in here. Guys, I want to thank you for coming in and supporting my channel, supporting my show. It means a ton. It means a ton to me. And it makes me want to get up and stay up on Wednesday nights. Guys, y'all know I go to bed early, so I have to get up. Never use garlic. I caught more on mayonnaise and Kool-Aid. Yeah, try the garlic, headhunters. Just don't soak it real long. He said, do not soak it overnight or whatever. That's where most people go wrong. Put it on right before you head to the lake. Thank you, P City. But the blues, you can catch them on a variety of baits also. You know, I've heard people catch them on shrimp. I've heard people catch them on chicken livers and stuff like that. Now, whether you're going to catch the bigger fish on these type of baits, I don't know. Dieter caught a 58 the other day on chicken. That Jimmy Smith down at Santee, he's catching some monsters on chicken. I'm not in the boat with him. Who's to say? He might be putting brim on there and telling you it's chicken. I don't have a clue, and I don't know. But I know that the blues can be caught on them. Blues are a moving fish. They are more apt to be here today, gone tomorrow fish. But I've noticed that Lake Wiley, JR, New School, has caught a lot of blues on live bait. And we catch more flatheads on cut bait on Lake Wiley. Go figure. But the blues will hit live bait, cut bait, and a variety of other baits, especially if you put them on the nose of the fish. Jeff caught his big 82 pounder on just a little bitty piece of perch, white perch. He probably hit that catfish on the nose with it, and that catfish just sucked it in his gullet. Catfish Raider called a 35 to 40 blue last Friday on chicken. So they will catch, you can catch them on a variety of baits. For guys and gals that's just getting into it, make sure you check and see what size fish can run in your waters. And what's up, Tiger? So you don't have too small a line and tackle for what you might end up getting into. Let's see. I make mine up 24 hours and freeze it and still get cats. No garlic chicken here. Okay, in Manitoba. So you can use a lot of variety of things to catch the blues also. I think I don't really have an opinion on the chicken. I know it works. I know people catch it on it. And I know people catch good ones on it. I've tried it only twice, didn't have no luck on it, but it might have been just the season that I was using it. It might have been early spring and they was feeding so much on shad or perch or whatever, and the chicken was just not going to work for me. And I think I done it right after I went out with Mike Byram, just to try it. It was an easy bait to pick up from the grocery store. Didn't have to worry about going out catching bait and stuff. So, yeah, guys, I guess from now on, I'm not going to leave home on the boat without a bag of chicken with me. I'm not. I hate to say it, but I'm not, because sometimes I get down there, and y'all probably run into it too. I'll catch my bait when I get to the lake, and then you can't find it. Or you find little bitty ones that ain't worth even using as bait. Having to be more than once. So I won't leave home without it, and I won't leave home without a bucket of night crawlers. Stink bait at all times. As for eater fish, stink bait works good if you can deal with it, but you don't want to get it in your carpet or your boat or in your clothes or whatever. It's tough to get that stinking stuff out. I always like the blood bait. Charlie, Catfish Charlie, the blood bait. We done real well on channels, but only in the summertime when the water's warm enough to disperse the scent off of that stuff. You always have chicken even if you don't use it. Okay. Yeah, that's good advice, guys. I mean, don't never go to the lake without some kind of bait just to make sure. Stink bait is dink bait. I can't say that, P City. I've caught some good channels in the day on stink bait, but now whether the blues will hit it or not, I don't know. I never heard anybody catching blues on it, but who knows? Without worms and chicken. There you go, Justin. And chicken liver. And chicken liver is a good freaking bait, guys, if you can throw it. It's tough to throw. To me, it's better to use like spinning tackle, something that you can actually lob it instead of trying to cast it. In Georgia the other day on live brim, 110-pound record here in Georgia the other day was, I hadn't heard of that record. I have to check into that, Tim. Yeah, I'll take dinks. If I'm going after eaters, I like them eaters about 8 to 10 inches long, no bigger, no bigger. I even like them 6 inches long. Now they'll pain in the tail, but they're still good eating. Cut the yellow streak out of them. Channel cats have a tendency to have a yellow mud streak in them. Make sure you cut that out, or it can make your meat taste kind of muddy. Yeah. But on to the blues. So, guys and gals in here that's just what's up, Maurice? That's just getting into the catfish world. There's a lot of great information out there, a lot of great videos out there, a lot of great people in chat right now that can answer questions that you might have about trying to find them. Points off of lakes, on your lakes. If you can get to the points, if you're a bank fisherman, look at Navionics, download it on your phone, go to Google Earth, talk to at some of your bait and tackle shops, and they can tell you places that people can bank fish. Those spots are getting smaller and smaller, more crowded, because there are a lot of people that still bank fish. I love to bank fish. I've got 2 boats. I still love to bank fish. In fact, I'm probably going to go bank fishing one day this week. Hopefully, I'll get a good enough signal to take y'all along with me. But they are some good spots. But do your homework. There are spots out there that gives you access to deep water and shallow water. So do your homework so you don't waste a day. Take a variety of baits. I always like to have at least a bucket of night crawlers, some kind of cut and live bait, and, some kind of chicken or whatever else you choose, and scatter them out. Don't put chicken real close to your cut bait. kind of scatter. If you go throw a chicken over here and deep water, put a cut bait over here, shallow water. I don't like to contaminate the area that I'm fishing with a couple different scents. But if you're boat fishing, you got access to a boat to get out. First places that will stand out to me, that's easy for you to find if you haven't learned to read navionics or nothing like it, is find a point. A point is anywhere that the daggum land jets out into the water, and you could tell that the river channel probably coming close to it or whatever. Just by the way, if you're out there in this muddy water, you'll always see a foam line or a debris line running down through there. That's usually telling you about where the river channel is. Most of the time, your debris will be running pretty close, if not in the river channel itself. No, I don't go to buffets. That's the trough. That's what I call buffets, is the trough. I don't go to the trough. Seen some nasty rascals in this world just come straight out of the bathroom and grab that spoon I was supposed to use. I don't go to the trough. Farm-raised catfish. Yeah, if I'm going to catch catfish, I don't eat farm-raised nothing. Salmon, nothing. It's got to be fresh caught. But yeah, some of the waters are more nasty than others. I don't think it'll hurt you to eat a mess of them once a year or once ever so often. But some lakes I'm not going to eat out of, and Lake Wiley's probably one of them. But the blues. So look for your points that jet out into the water where you got a creek coming in, and you got that out there. Set up there where you can throw baits up shallow and off deeper. And if it's not working and they're not running there, usually there's a channel pretty close. Drift your boat out there a little bit further and drop off at that channel edge. Usually somewhere around that point, those fish are going to migrate through. Yeah, no way, Wiley. Yeah. So that way right there, you could take one point and access so many different things off of that point. Set up our shallow. That point might have a stump field on it right out from it. If you do have a depth finder, it should be pretty easy to find. And a lot of times during flood times, that point is actually a break, and you will get some debris to lay down in there. Find that debris, fish around the edges, fish in it. Fishing in it, you might grab a flathead, but be ready to get broke off. Fishing out around the edges, blues like that stuff too. Not as much as your channels and your flatheads, but they do. But like I said, if you're out there on the point and you're not getting bit within an hour or two, drop on off a little bit further. Find that river channel edge. You can use your anchor to find it if you don't have a depth finder. Once you find that thing to drop off in the deeper water, anchor up right there. Put your baits off out in the deep, put them up on the ledges, and put them back up in the top. More than likely, if you sit there long enough, you will catch those fish migrating around that point. David Martin is one of the best that I know that will set up, and he will set on it because he knows that sooner or later those fish are going to migrate around that or to that point to feed. Wintertime might be a little bit different because the fish slow down. They don't move as much. If you're catching, appreciate that, Tim. The only thing I got is people looking for bobbers. But so just because you're not getting bit up on the point, don't mean that there's not fish coming around that point. So search it out real good. Even if you don't have a depth finder, you can use your rod with a big weight on there to find the depth changes. There might even be a hole out there on that point. Good place to start. I'm just kind of hitting the basics on some things for the beginners and people to cut their teeth on to find these fish. Don't expect to go out and catch a big one the first couple trips, even though you might get lucky and you might catch a world record or the state record or the lake record. From what I understand, a lot of lakes don't keep records of a lake record. David said they're hiding from him on Lake Wiley this week. And that's what David's talking about. He sets up, he anchors up, tries to catch a migrating. It might not work every time, guys, but most of the time that will pay off, especially when the fish are up and moving. When you start catching them with mud on their bellies and covered up in mud, you might have to do a little more searching. They might be a little bit more picky on the baits that they eat. That's the times that I want to do some homework myself, and y'all could actually help me with that if you want to. The days that you go out and you marking big fish, good fish, you know it's cats, you know they're down there, but you're throwing all kind of live baits, cut baits, or whatever on their heads, and it's still not biting. Somebody, thank you, Creole. Somebody please tell me when you drop a wad of night crawlers on their head that you get bit. I want somebody to prove to me and help me prove that will work. What about winter catfishing, creeks and rivers? Creeks and rivers. Now, I can tell you a little bit about creeks, but rivers, somebody else in here might have to help you out with the rivers. I'm not a river fisherman. Where I'm at, we really don't have no big rivers that I can say that I fished. I fished some of our smaller rivers down here, but as far as getting into big fish, I would not say that I have any experience with it. I can tell you what I've heard from others. Look for wing dikes. If they don't have wing dikes out there, look for anything that will give the fish a break in the current, whether it's deep holes or whether you got a log jam that's creating a current break or whatever. Look for those places to fish in those rivers. Flint Hill for rivers. Flint Hill's a good one on the Catawba River. Lyle and some other guys out west can tell you about the Mississippi, the Ohio, the Missouri River, places like that. These guys will not steer you wrong. Hunker down in holes very near feeding grounds to escape the current. Agreed. And now, I mean, guys, that's really, if you really think about it, and I've said it 1,000 times, some of you probably going to get bored with me saying it. Fish, there are probably 3 or 4 things that a fish is on a fish's mind. They don't have a human brain. They got a fish's brain. And that's reproduction probably is one of the main things on their mind in late spring. But before that is food, reproduction, shelter, and water conditions. Low oxygen levels, they don't want. And for a long time, I didn't think catfishes love real hot water until last year during Jeff's Grand Slam tournament. I know 2 guys that was up in water catching good fish, and the water was almost 100 degrees. Go figure. I would have never guessed it. But, of course, I never would have guessed January catching fish in 4 foot of water either, 4 and 2 foot of water. So, in rivers, large rivers, small rivers, and larger trip up and down the river to the lake. Yep, there you go. Twisted fishes a lot of your smaller creeks and rivers and stuff like that too, and does great on it, guys. He's got a lot of great information. Check out his channel. Does a lot of good bank fishing in some places that I used to love to go fish, and I used to love to go gold panning. So carry a gold pan with you too, guys. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But when fish is up and moving, there are great transitional spots that you can look for. That the fish will move up and they will feed, or they'll move back down, or they're moving to spawning beds, or they're moving to other places where other fish are spawning and they're moving in to feed. A lot of people don't think about that when it comes to spring. Around here, when the dogwoods start to bloom, starts to budding up, we know that the crappie are headed to the banks. Guess who else knows the crappie are headed to the banks? Mr. Catfish. If you'll notice, if you're a crappie fisherman, and we got quite a few of them in here, that if you go back up in some of the back of these coves where the crappie are spawning heavy, you can smell it. And you can bet your tail if you can smell it above the water, the catfish can smell it below the water. Warmest water, deepest holes. Look for current breaks and find the bait, find the fish nearby. Right, two stands. So follow the fish, not necessarily just the bait fish. That's why I've talked about learning the different type of fish that you can legally use as bait. North Carolina, we can legally use game fish as long as they're caught with hook and line and counted as part of the creel and is of legal length. All right, thank you, Tim. Tim, I did not get something from you. You might have sent it to a different James Smith. Mine's got the Trump face on it on Facebook. Right now I'm in Facebook jail, so they might not be letting nothing come to me. But anyway, on Messenger or whatever, James Smith. But anyway, so learn your bait fish, what you really like to fish with. To me, if they're headed towards the beds, I'm not going to be too far behind them catfishing, catching whatever's bedding or headed to the beds and using it for bait. That's what my preferred bait is at that time of year. Keeping livers on bait hooks. Yeah, and I know people that uses that dissolving sock or whatever they call it, or pantyhose. They use pantyhose for years for keeping chicken livers on there. I always just try to use a spinning reel where I can kind of lob it out there because I like putting big gobs on there. But also, guys, stripers will hit chicken livers too. Hybrids, the hybrid bass will hit chicken livers too with a vengeance. So don't be surprised if you got hybrids or stripers in your water for them to grab your chicken livers. So, but that was another little hint, is that whatever spawning the summertime when the brim are spawning, buddy, you can bet your tail Patriot James is going to have big brim on his hooks. The bigger, the better. If they too big, then I'm using the heads and the body's going home to be cooked. Ain't nothing like cooking some big old mess of brim, bluegill, or whatever you want to call them. Born and raised in Ohio, Village, Arkansas. But catfish and crappie. Tell me, son, have you ever smelt them crappie on the bed like that? Or any of you else that's a big crappie fisherman? But learn your bait fish, guys. Learn when they spawn. Learn when they're making their runs. Learn where they're going to eat and where they're going to spawn. It can change. In spring, you have warmouths. Now, see, catfish and dreams, I got a pond back here that's full of them old big rascals, and I have yet to catch anything on them, cut or live. I don't know why. That is a stinking fish. That fish puts out a smell that stinks. I've heard of people doing good with them. I haven't had no luck with them. I don't know why. And I use them. And I'm with you, Jason. I don't think it's too big a bait for daggum flatheads. But it depends on the size of flatheads in the water that you're fishing. Yeah, and I'll still try the warmouse. I don't know why I haven't had any luck with them, because usually I'm carrying brim and warmouse at the same time, and I catch them on the brim, but not the warmouse. So go figure. Best places to find info on local mom and pop bait shops. Yep, there you go. And then places like that can help you find a hole to go fishing if you're a bait fisherman. And I will never not bait fisherman, guys. I still love it. There's nothing like going out there and sitting back on the bank, having your little old campfire, and just sat out there roasting you some weenies with your catfish rods out in the water, enjoying the night. I love it. But yeah, David, my favorite bait is largemouth bass or spotted bass. I know that hurts feelings sometimes, but that's my favorite bait. That's where I've caught my biggest fish, and I've caught them on live spotted bass. But it's only if your state allows you to fish with it legally. Cormorants eat fish, so that should help some. Yes. I know guys that fish around close to their nesting areas. Creole. They eat fish and they poop fish. And other fish come to eat the fish poop. Thank you, Ohio. I know our veterans will appreciate that a great deal. Got to head out, getting into the woods early. I hear you, boy. Y'all season must still be open. It's deer season around here's done closed. So be safe out there, my friend. Be safe. So yeah, guys, don't ever look down on bank fishermen. Actually, give them plenty of room. Some of them throw towards the middle of the lake. Some of them fish different areas. Give them plenty of room. Give them plenty of respect, because I promise you, you probably started out the same way. Catfish Edge, good video, fishing near nesting birds. Yep, exactly. Oh, 28th is the last day there. Oh, I hear you. Well, be safe out there, guys. Yeah, guys, any money raised on this channel goes towards Camp Centurion. What's up, Mr. Michael Chavez? Camp Centurion Veterans Home. It's a rehabilitation home that we're remodeling. I'm doing all I can do to help raise money, guys. We had some donations to pull out on us. So anything that y'all can do to help, we do appreciate it. All right, guys. Now, the blues we covered a little bit. I'm not going into much detail. I'll leave that for other videos where I can actually do some demonstrations on some boards to bring in a little bit more detail. Most of you already know about it. Get on the bed. Shell crackers. There you go, bass. I love fishing with it. Biggest flatheads on one. Yeah. The favorite to catch and cook would be crappie, sacrolet, or whatever you want to call it, guys. Is that I love crappie. I love it. It's good. To me, it's the best eating. But now in the summertime, you out. What's up, Irvin? Junior Proctor, Sean. Summertime, we got some old farm ponds that we catch some monster bluegill in. Big old knotted head up, ugly old bluegill that we'll set up. One guy will be catching, one guy will be cleaning, another guy will be throwing them suckers in some grease. And rascals will be wiggling when they hit the grease. And it don't get no better. It don't get no better than that. But, yeah, crappie and bluegill probably my favorite. Our little tiny salt and pepper cats. Love it. So let's move on to talk a little bit about flatheads. Probably one of my favorite fish to chase. The elusive flatheads. Lake Wylie is becoming a great lake for flatheads. I never thought I'd see the day that happened, but there are a lot of flatheads starting to be caught out of Lake Wiley. That's my home lake, guys. That some of you that's new to the channel, if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up, share, like. I appreciate it, everybody. I appreciate it. The flatheads in lakes, I think, are a good bit different than the flatheads in running water, running rivers, shovel heads. I sure do that, Lyle. Appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate that. We'll give a couple of the Catfish Weekly CPR decals away here in just a little bit. Pellet feed, purpose flatheads, and the fillet. There you go. Yellow cats. I've heard them called all kind of crazy stuff. And some people frown on flatheads being in the water. There's a great video, guys, that you have to try to hunt up. If somebody knows what that video is, please post up the link. It's a video on the flathead catfish and the study they done in Florida waters. The flathead catfish was introduced into the waters because people were complaining that all they was catching was little bitty tiny bluegill and brim. Well, when they introduced the flatheads people thought decimated the bluegill population, and they did knock a big dent in it. But Mother Nature takes care of herself. She really does. The flatheads weeded out the weak, the small, injured, weak fish. Now, once you watch the video, now they are catching more, bigger, stronger brim than ever. They have a big community of brim, bluegill, brim, whatever you want to call them, sunfish fishermen down there that really raised their steam. Florida tried to go in and try to eradicate the flathead catfish, and they couldn't. They knocked a big dent in it, but they come back. But they come back strong. The bluegill, brim, sunfish population really come back strong, and it proved that the flatheads, being a predator that they are, actually helped the sunfish population. Back at one time, you notice they was catching a bunch of little ones, and the big ones just couldn't be found. But by thinning out a bunch of little ones that give more food for the fish to actually eat, that means that they was actually going to produce a good DNA of fish that was going to grow bigger. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that. So Mother Nature will take care of herself if allowed. Lakes and ponds especially can be overpopulated. Most of the time, if you got a pond and you're going out there and you can catch a blue million of these little bitty brim, it's probably not much of a predator in that lake. You don't want to put a flathead in there. I got a guy that he put a couple flatheads in a farm pond that was eat up with those little old brim. Well, it didn't take long for them old flatheads to wipe out every freaking brim in that pond and anything else. But, you know, you need a predator fish in waters to keep stuff in check. But don't overpopulate, guys. If you see a place like it, thin them out. That's what we was talking about the other night on Catfish Weekly. Selective harvest. There's nothing wrong with keeping fish. Making sure that you're putting back the fish that have the potential good DNA to produce, that will produce big fish. Most valuable fish I ever caught. Bruno, to me, all fish are valuable. All fish are valuable. I've caught good saltwater fish. Probably one of my biggest saltwater fish is probably about a 40-pound barracuda. But all fish are valuable to me because if we don't take care of our fisheries and our waters, guys, then we're going to have China water where there ain't nothing but stinky, messy water, the fish are little bitty tiny fish, but there'll be a blue freaking million of them. And they will. A daggone flathead will eat every freaking thing in a pond. They sure will. And make short work of it. But flatheads for the guys and gals that's just getting started, look for structure. If you don't have a depth finder, you can find a lot of hints along the banks. Inside, outside channel edges and stuff where you see a lot of blowdowns. Most of the time, you're going to have some underwater structure along them areas also. Anywhere that you got a river channel break, there's going to be probably some debris right there. If you see big boulders and rocky shores around in one area, there's probably going to be some rock piles underneath there, especially if it's pretty steep. Those rocks will have a tendency to roll down and pile up in the bottom right there. You do terrible in a winter propel. Why is that? Have you exhausted all avenues? Guys and gals, do not allow yourself to get caught up in the myths or legends or whatever that you got to go mainly deep water. You find small channels on Lake Wiley hanging out with brim and banks in the summer. Catch a lot of them on night crawlers. There you go. New School PB's 13. That's a good freaking channel, guys. That's a good freaking channel. So flatheads, I think, and this is just personally, I might be screwed wrong. I know they can be caught in deeper water, but I think they're more of a shallower water fish. Their eyes are on top of their head, guys. Think about it. These fish are looking up to feed. They're not looking down. They're looking for live bait. They will take cut bait. For some reason on our lake, they love cut bait. Now, I've heard Lyle say that he's maybe caught one or two in his lifetime on cut bait. Caught a big one, the 15 pounders on Lake Norman. Daggum right. But the flathead, I love him. I love the way they fight. I love the way they bite. I love the hunt of that fish. I think that sometimes once they get a certain poundage, I think that they set up a residence. I think I've heard JR talking about resident fish that are done set up a residence. That's their home. That's their feeding area. And I think the only time that they might move out from that area is having caught big channels of light since the 90s. You're exactly right. Is when they're going to spawn and they're looking for mates or a mate or mates. I don't know if they have multiple mates or a single mate. I don't have a clue. I caught a flathead on cut bait, mainly live. And see, I've heard that so many times that out west that their mainstay is live bait. Out here, ours is cut bait. You fishing for blues and you'll wind up catching a mess of, flatheads. For me, on my boat, fresh cut bait can't be caught. Favorite bank spot has great bluegill bed population year round. I fish deep, shallow to catch them coming up the slope to feed. Great success with all catfish species there. There you go, guys. Great hint. Great advice on bait fishermen. Stuff to look for. Jason, did you find that spot using Navionics or anything to find out exactly how that is set up? If you do, share that with the people if you don't mind. And I'm going to tell you another great catfish bait, guys, and you might not want to hear it. Appreciate it, Slime Action. Guys, check his channel out. It's a new one on the line, and I appreciate you coming in. Usually on the head pieces. You're right, David. Is catfish. Catfish is a good catfish bait. It really is. I know a lot of guys use the bullheads and stuff like that. Those small channels and stuff are great live bait too, or cut bait, or stinky bait, or shovel heads up here in the lakes. That old guy that fishes off the bank down on Lake Wiley, old John, a veteran, he uses catfish as catfish bait, but he lets them rot for about a week in a bucket, stinking. And he's caught 40s, 50s, 60s. And that 160, man, I don't know. Big Nasty's seen it and got some pictures of it. That was a big old freaking fish on stinky, rotten catfish. So go figure, guys. I would have never believed it if I didn't happen to know a great guy that told about it. Yeah, John's a great fella. He really is. I was glad he come fish with us in the tournament. Oh, guys, I am sorry. I got the list down there to bring up here and go over with y'all and ask some of y'all's opinion on a few things on the tournament. I might have to do a weekend, drop in live weekend during the day, guys. Don't want to interfere with nobody's night show. What's up, Fin Sinker? Better late than never, my friend. Better late than never. But we're just sharing some good basic advice on catfish to help out some new people or some old people. Maybe there's some things that we can talk about a little bit that will steer you in a different direction that you might get. And guys, we get tunnel vision. I don't know about you. I'll see if I can find you, Tim. That Facebook might have me knocked out of daggum on there too, Messenger. There's some great information on flatheads, blues, and channels, whatever you want to try to chase on YouTube. Use it to your advantage. It's another tool in your toolbox. Just like a hook, just like anything else, your weights, your leaders, your line, your rod, your reels, your boat, whatever, just because you can't put it in your hands don't mean it's not a tool. Knowledge is a tool. Use it to your advantage. Take in everything, stir it around, see what works for you and what don't work. Thin out the things that your home waters, but keep it in your mind. Take notes, guys. Matthew Anthony, we've got to get him on the show, Lyle. I'll talk to him tomorrow. I think one of the main things that the main advice that he can share with you is keep a journal. Keep a journal. Keep a journal. That way, when you go to new waters you've never fished, you do your homework, look at navionics, and when you go out and try what you've always tried and it don't work, go back to your notes and say, all right, I tried this, but I was late fishing. Now I'm on a river. What do I need to do to tweak what I'm doing to make it work for me? Without those notes, yeah, you can go back and flip through pictures on your phone or something like that, and it might help you out a little bit. But if you pull out that journal and you flip back through for the time of day, time of year, water temperature, water conditions, whatever, then that will help you more than anything. Just remember, if there's waters, there's catfish of some kind. Justin, you're pretty much right, buddy. You're pretty much right. You would have never believed. Look up the catfish. They are probably 1,000 different kind of catfish in the world. I like to catch one of them old red tails. I like to catch a whale's catfish, but guess what, guys? I'm not leaving American shores. So unless they grow them here in America, Patriot James will never get a chance to catch one of them son of a guns. All right, guys, let me pull names up here. Turn this down. All right, Lyle wants to give away a couple stickers. If your name gets drawn for the stickers, contact Mr. Lyle at Catfish Weekly, and he will set you right up. Slime Action Outdoors. Slime Action Outdoors. Contact Lyle Stokes at Catfish Weekly, and he will set you up, my friend, with a CPR sticker from Catfish Weekly. All right, guys, let's round them up, roll them up. Everybody say catfish. Get your chat moving. If you're not talking in chat, you can't win it. If you're not talking, you can't win. Catfish and Dreams. Catfish and Dreams. Congratulations, guys. Appreciate you coming in, watching the show. Appreciate you watching Catfish Weekly. Hook up Catfish and Dreams. Look up Lyle, contact him, and he'll set you up, my friend, with a CPR sticker from Catfish Weekly. Appreciate y'all guys coming in. I've had a blast, guys. But before we close this out tonight, I ask that each and every one of you pray for our country. Pray for what's going on. We're American. We've been through worse. It might not seem like it, but we have. And we'll come out swinging. We'll come out strong. But it don't hurt to put some prayers out there, guys and gals, for the police and for our patriots, for our veterans and for our active duty, our paramedics, fire, EMS, all of it, guys. Share your prayers for each and every one of them. God bless America, guys. God bless each and every one of you. I thank you for coming in here to the show tonight. It means the world. It'll always mean the world to me that y'all support us and the shows that we do. There's another show coming on tomorrow night. James and Chad, check them out, guys. Appreciate you coming in. Guys, I'm going to run. Been a long day. You're looking for bobbers, look me up. God bless. We'll see y'all in chat. Good night.